Hello, everyone. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives, and welcome to our Friday live chat with Marcia. And the monks are walking, the Buddhist monks walking for peace, heading up our way and passing through North Carolina. We've been following them closely and love to see all the people out there joining in their wishes for peace. So let's talk about it. I'll get the show started in exactly 30 seconds. All right, and it's Friday Live here with Marcia and John. It's our McDuff Friday Live chat show, and we hope you have had a good week. It's first couple weeks of this year have been wow. I mean, the things that are happening in geopolitics and war are frightening, breathtaking,
Yes.
and confusing as hell.
Confusing. Okay.
Yeah,
That's not a word I would have used. I don't necessarily disagree, but
no, well, I can tell you more about it, but to me, the extreme danger of war seems to have never been in a long time so close. Whereas, and that's what I understand, the Buddhists, they don't walk for peace unless they perceive a particular bad possibility for peace on earth. And so they're walking, and the American people are responding in thousands and thousands. And I don't think anybody cares whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or whether you have TDS, or whether you are a crazy right winger. If you feel a need to support what they're doing and you go out there, everybody goes. I do not think that there's any politics involved in this. I think that people are feeling this in their hearts, and it's compelling for us. So, and that is really a hopeful thing for humanity, that I see it in the faces of the pictures and the videos that I watch, that these people are absolutely serious. They want peace. They want it really bad. And
I think desperately. They desperately want peace and the message that the monks are carrying. They want to find a world where we are united in peace.
Yes. And
the turmoil, I think, is people are finding it very disturbing. And this is a balm to that turmoil.
Well, President Trump is definitely, shaking the plum tree.
Boy, is he.
I mean, he is shaking it hard. It was interesting. I could tell that this business about using military force was him talking bluff. When a reporter asked him, so have you ruled out the use of military force? And he says, military force? Who said? You said that. I didn't say that. You said that. What he had hinted at it was by other means. He didn't say what other means. See, that kind of tricky implication, but without actually saying something, is a hallmark of I think what Trump's public
now, wait a
messaging
minute.
is.
I am confused. He did not specifically say he was going to call on and I can't think of the name of the act. The 1807 Act that would allow military force domestically?
Oh, no, I'm talking about Greenland.
Oh, Greenland.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. I should have said Greenland.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Minnesota.
No, actually,
Minnesota.
Greenland has dominated my news feed over Minnesota. the Minnesota stuff that I see is like a picture of Tim Waltz saying something that everybody else finds highly objectionable, and so I kind of say, okay, I've seen that.
Okay.
But the Greenland stuff is like, NATO is going to have to go to war against the United States.
Yeah, some European countries have sent troops over there.
So that's some serious stuff that takes our mind off of other things. And when he admitted to the reporter in a kind of a backhanded way that, well, he said, that we're going to acquire it, we're going to have to get it by purchase, by negotiation, or by other means, And so she called him on it, and he had to say, well, I didn't say military force. I didn't say we'd use military force. So, yeah, I don't understand what type of negotiating tactic that is, I don't understand the
It's brilliant negotiating tactic. You can threaten somebody without threatening them.
Right. And NATO gets all up in arms, and the Danes and everybody gets all upset. And what I think is really puzzles me is that the United States has basically free access to Greenland anyway. Greenland is not, it has allowed us to have bases. I don't know if there's even a number of how many bases we can have because of our commitment to preserving Greenland against the Soviet Union, which is the NATO deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Trump is saying, look, guys, the United States, the interest of the United States may not be to stay with NATO any longer. And let's just see how you react to this one. If I push this thing out there about Greenland and see how many people jump up, and, whether they send, I know they sent like 10 or 12 soldiers up there to, show the flag, but the idea of actually having a conflict over it, I can't see it. I think this is Trump just being Trump.
Right.
Well, Corky's here, and what does he have on his mind?
Well, Corky starts off with, the singularity is nigh, 2026. And then he says, righteous might and doctrines therein. The baddies need to be taken down, identifying them essential. By their acts shall you know them.
Unless there's plausible deniability.
Well, there you go.
Unless there is complete media control, unless you've been indoctrinated to not possibly believe what's really going on. Yeah.
I just had to think that one through for a second.
Yeah, high school history.
Well, to believe what's not really going on was a little bit of an interesting concept, so I had to stop and think it through. But I got it now.
So yeah, but the singularity, and I from briefly before the show, you indicated they're not familiar with the idea, and a lot of people are not, but a lot of people are, because it goes back, and you probably are. You just had it by a different name, but it comes from like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the idea is that computers are going to be so powerful, and we're going to integrate humanity into some big singular thing that will be connected, in some way, computerized way or biologically or something, but that it's got like a big Vulcan mind meld that everybody gets to participate in. And there's a lot of people, like people at Harvard and MIT and stuff, that are absolutely treating this as the goal of humanity to achieve this singularity.
I like to think that it's the monks. It's the other way around. It's a spiritual singularity where we all recognize that if we have inner peace, we'll have outer peace.
If we have inner peace and a safe place to live and the clothes and the water.
It's not the message of the monks. The message of
No.
the monks is
Right.
once you have inner peace, it starts to spread. So you have to work. That's their message, is having inner peace.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed.
Corky also says, no one gave a whit about Greenland. DJT is a post-conventional thinker, not outside the box, a whole new box. Ooh, nicely said, Corky. And Road Warrior says, the only question is, who are the baddies? The ones with the biggest military usually decide. Well, I think Corky said, by their acts you shall know them.
Yeah, but they hide behind, hide behind walls. They hide behind desks,
They hide behind rhetoric.
Come you masters of war.
Yeah.
The masters of war, that's who they are. And these are the people that are participating in the military-industrial complex that was created in stages, but basically after World War II, when we didn't really need it anymore, it invented reasons to keep going. And those reasons included, protecting, innocent countries in the third world from the Soviet Union. So we better go over there and change their culture and mess up their environment and extract all the resources that they don't know how to use anyway, because they're just, peasants.
Corky says they hide behind fake virtue.
They do that too.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. And Wahed Rex, welcome Wahed Rex, says military drains your resources and act as enforcers of corruption.
Yes, indeed. I agree.
Indeed. And we do need a strong military. Always. I think we do, until, we've reached a point in humanity's evolution that we can all trust each other. But until that time, we do need a strong military. But we need a strong military for defense, not offense and domination and
Exactly.
Yeah, domination.
And we could go on that topic for hours. It's one of my favorite topics. Is what did the founding fathers intend in terms of military defense of the country? And what they intended was to not have a standing army at all, but to have militias. And the rules of militia are clear. The militia is there to defend the territory in which the militia is organized.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state.
And that idea of restricting the militia's duties to defense, it is only when there is a danger to the territory that the militia represents, whether it's your county or a state or whatever it is, that there's danger to it, that the militia then becomes active, but it stays training all the time. And so the idea back then was, we can have peace with foreign countries as long as they respect our sovereignty, and we can do trade. And that was one of the big issues, was to be able to trade wherever we wanted to. So that is the American idea. And the military-industrial complex has just completely bulldozed it to the point where there's hardly any such idea left. And the militias that exist now are, there's a lot of, secret militias, the people that go out in the mountains and eat snakes on weekends that don't tell anybody. There's militias there. But I think what we really were supposed to have was a local militia that was well organized and submissive to the authority of the state, of the governor.
Right.
So that's one of the many things we lost as a result of our Well, it's just our history. We came out of World War II and everybody was just too exhausted to pay a whole lot of attention and let everything go in. Whatever Eisenhower said was fine. And that enabled, the Dulles brothers to just run rampant all over everything. And they are the ones, that organized this military industrial complex that now dominates everything.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah.
Road Warrior says virtue in history can be manufactured given enough money.
Virtue can be manufactured. Yeah.
Corky says virtue has energy, as does vice. Energy dominance, rising abundance, or rising scarcity. What will that mean? Discuss.
Virtue has energy in the sense of the Buddhist monks that are walking for peace. And that's a tremendous energy that people feel, even if you're just watching it on your TV or computer.
It's amazing to me just watching some of the videos. I got a little bit choked up.
Yeah. And bringing the dog along, I mean, that in itself is like, yeah, that dog, he's walking for peace, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And so it's been just beautiful to see that. And it inspires hope. It really does. Because of the things I said earlier, I don't think that this is anything about politics. It's just that we are so thirsty for peace.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's humanity. And, to say that, this is the other side of the singularity business, because the singularity business is really a totalitarian government of everything, because somebody is going to be running the whole shop from the top, a committee of oligarchs, an emperor, somebody, and completely with whatever kind of technology they have at the time will be able to control every human being on the planet and make sure that they don't step outside of their boundaries, and to make sure that they do their tasks, and to make sure that they don't start reading forbidden material or saying things on the internet. And that is what frightens us about the singularity, is it really is just another name for totalitarianism.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah, the Borg. Yeah.
Yep. Historical consciousness is so DIY, says Corky.
Do it yourself.
Prester John says, I find it wildly ironic how the people who rallied for decades about tyranny are now cheering on the tyranny. Garden Girl is here. Hello, Garden Girl. Always our boys. Heard that we are sending troops to Iran now.
I hope that's not true. I don't know how much anybody's following the Iran business. I watch Scott Ritter on my X feed, and he is just passionate about how we just really would be crazy to go to Iran.
Well, we are sending ships to the Middle East. I don't know if they're, leaving the Caribbean to go to the Middle East, but
what I know about that is that they can't attack Iran without having an aircraft carrier nearby, and they don't have one right now. So they're getting one from Indonesia, and it's sailing up there, and it'll take about a week to get there. So that means, nothing's going to happen in a week, and that gives us plenty of time to let the thing simmer down. Because I think Trump made up once again. He stuck his neck out. He said, we're going to do this, hoping that some deal gets made that we don't know what the deal is, but he was just making a threat, because there's something at stake that he wants everybody to give him on the basis of not wanting to get bombed by the USA.
Who's him?
Trump.
Okay. But who's making a deal? You've lost me a little bit.
I don't know who's making a deal.
Oh,
just
okay.
saying that Trump is a deal maker. That's what he does. So he has, when he puts all this pressure on Iran, how, we're going to go, and Israel's going to go, we're going to take down this criminal, theosophy that nobody wants. What do you call it? Theocracy that, nobody wants. They're oppressing the people and all. But on the other side, you have people like Scott Ritter, who's traveled there, and others, just, if you want, you can just Google Iran politics and you'll see this is a very, very contentious question of whether the people of Iran really want to have a revolution or whether this is agents provocateur, as it always is, from the Mossad, which they assume, they admit the Mossad is there.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to topple this regime, apparently to reinstall the Pahlavi, the Shah,
Right.
the Shah's
Shah.
son, who everybody says is a worthless, and
Well, not everybody, but many.
so the question is, we're not there. We don't get to know what's really happening, but in hindsight now, it looks like it was another one of Trump's just statements, an over-the-top statement trying to get some deal. I don't know what the deal was, but some deal.
Okay. Well, my sense is that Trump was trying to get them to stop killing the protesters.
Oh.
And that if they didn't stop killing the protesters, because hundreds have died, as far as we know, they've also cut off all communication. So exactly what was going on was still unknown. But yeah, killing the protesters was the big challenge that I think was being addressed by the possibility of our intervention. But I don't know. That might have just been a cover story.
Yeah, I don't know how worried Trump is about protesters in foreign countries, but I view it as a, well, I've explained what I think it is.
Right. Well, Trump is very vocal about people dying in other countries when there are conflicts that in places where he has an agenda. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he does have an agenda, and probably Iran is objecting to whatever the ultimate plan is for Gaza.
Well, it's the economy of Iran that started this protest, supposedly. Now, I think you have expressed some skepticism about that. And who exactly is protesting? Is it the businesses? Is it the people? But the real is their unit of currency?
I don't know.
It has just plummeted.
Uh-huh.
And so the economy is horrible.
Yeah.
And it's not a rich country anyway, which you would think it would be given, energy resources.
So in my view, that's probably the result of manipulation of their economy by greater forces that are just, it's like, it's fifth dimensional warfare, where not only do you have the boots on the ground, but you've also got cyber attacks and, manipulating oil so that they don't get as much as they need or destroy their production capacity. Those kind of the idea that it just happened to happen, that their economy went to hell at the same time that there's people out there doing violence in the streets, it looks like a pattern to me.
Well, it's certainly in Iran. They had a revolution. I just read a book that took place in Iran. And they had the revolution in 1953. About which I know very little, which is what I learned from the book, and then the one in 1979. So, the people of Iran have been dealing with both cultural and government changes and revolution for a lot of decades. And they went from one extreme to another. And of course, they went from a pretty free and open society to the strict Islamist society, which has more impact on women than it does men, but has significant impact on the women.
I would have to update my knowledge of how their culture is right now, because the impression I have is that the women are pretty free there in Iran in 2026. But
okay, that's not the impression that I have.
Okay.
The impression that I have is that a lot of the Islamist restrictions on women are applied now.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, we've missed a bunch of comments,
Yes,
honey.
yes, we have.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting things. Well, Brightmore, let's just go there. Says Israel's axis of secessionists is trying to create separatist regions in African countries to align strategic nations with the Abraham Accords. Somaliland is a prime example of Mossad-created region in Somalia that is attempting to bring down the Somalia government.
I am Googling accords because I don't know or remember. Okay, let's read it. The Abrahamic Accords are a series of U.S. brokered agreements signed in 2020 that normalized diplomatic relations between Israel and several Arab nations, including the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. These landmark deals, named after Abraham as a shared patriarch, established formal ties, opened trade, fostered security cooperation, and promoted interfaith dialogue, shifting regional dynamics by moving previously covert ties into the open to build peace and prosperity in the Middle East. Israel is the primary party normalizing relations. UAE, the first Arab to sign. Main goal, ending decades of Arab-Israel Israeli estrangement by establishing embassies, direct flights, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's okay. So they want to bring African countries into the Abrahamic Accords.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. So they're basically creating a little economic zone of some type. That
apparently so. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't follow the Somali stuff that closely. I can't really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Brightmore says same Mossad tactics in Iran.
Yeah, that's what I see a lot of that. And someone pointed out that yeah, there it is, Walk's head. Oh, you go ahead then.
Oh, well, I was just going to add to Brightmore's comment. Mossad interference in Somalia with the creation of Somaliland appears to have backfired, however, on Israel in terms of popular sentiment against Bibi's machinations.
Mm.
And what were you referring to? Hanging Mossad spies.
Yeah, this is another thing that Scott Ritter was big about yesterday on his interviews, was that the Iranians have found the Mossad agents provocateur and are executing them, and so that's an indication from Scott Ritter that the government has the upper hand in this. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I say, it's so hard to know what's going on in a foreign country, period. But then on top of that, a foreign country where there's revolution or you know, and no American media there at all. It's just
And cut off communication.
yeah.
Yeah, Brightmore says checked the air and ship movements, did not see our ships near Israel. 3 UN warships are on the coast of Lebanon, however. Okay. Interesting. And Brightmore shares a link for air and ship traffic. That's good to have. It's there in the chat if anybody's looking for it.
Oh, remember when we had Khashoggi 1 came down the
Potomac?
the Potomac?
Yeah.
And I was watching it on the Ship Tracker program. I
Right.
watched it all the way from, I think it left out of either Rhode Island or New York, and
Yeah, someplace up there.
and was towed down on a barge all the way down here. That was quite a drama. And we on the island here that live on the Potomac, we were all lining the side of the island to see.
It was funny. And what he's talking about is an aircraft that was
Right.
on a barge. So it was very weird because it looked like this airplane was, flying up the Potomac very, very slowly on the water.
Yeah, unless you got a good lens, you couldn't see the barge it was on.
That's right.
I got a picture of it against an osprey nest with the plane sitting on the osprey nest.
Yep. That's right.
But that plane was the subject of a lot of study that back then on McDuff Lives. On McDuff Lives 1, you probably can still find it. That plane had come from Evergreen.
Mhm.
We had the tail number, and we traced it to Evergreen Airlines, and then from there back to the the Flying Tigers.
Mhm.
And it was used for transporting people and things for many years. And so it was like an old used spook plane.
Right. Air America.
Air America plane.
Right.
And it was painted up new like Air Force One. And so it looked just like Air Force One. And
well, that's how it was used. They took it up to National Harbor and used it as an attraction.
Yeah.
That you could walk on it and see what it's like on Air Force One, though not much of the inside was finished.
And this was when the project was launched when the election was going on, and the idea was that Hillary Clinton would be able to use it as a stage or something when she won the election. I don't know.
No, I don't think it was that far back, was it?
Yeah.
That was 2016.
All right. I don't know who was. Never mind. It's a side issue.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, excuse me.
But anyway, that was quite a lot of interesting shows that we did around that.
So Brightmore says Elon has been trying to restore the internet over Iran with Starlink. Yeah, I read that too, that Iran's trying to figure out how to ban Starlink. Khomeini is 86, says Garden Girl. Ruling is theocratic. I believe the youth of the country want more freedom.
I don't know if they're going to get it with the Shah of Iran. The Shah's reign was brutal and supported by the Savak, the secret police that were trained by U.S. military, specifically by the father of the general that won the Iraq War. I can't remember his name, but Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf.
Oh.
Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf's father trained the Savak. And so, and the stories of the Savak's treatment are just horrific. So I can't wish for this revolution to succeed, knowing that it's going to get back into that horrific, imperial, what do they call it? The pheasants, the peacock throne.
Oh, the peacock throne. Yeah.
The peacock throne. It's bad news.
Yeah. Brightmore says Israel floated sending surviving Gazans to Somaliland.
Wow.
And Corky says, eyes on Cuba as well.
Yeah.
Of course, it's in the Western Hemisphere.
And, this is the goal. I mean, this Marco Rubio comes from and supports the Cuban fighters, the tradition of the people that fought and lost in the Bay of Pigs, that are still in Florida in big numbers. And Marco Rubio's
very, very connected.
Very connected to them. And so this may be their chance, the thing that they blame on Kennedy for failing, which was really, just the CIA's poor planning. But they are, I think, it's potentially the time that we're going to go.
Well, the situation down there is dire.
Yeah.
And, our neighbor here who goes to Cuba every so often was telling me that, down there you only get a couple of hours of electricity a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very bad situation. Not quite sure.
Well, we've been, cutting off their commerce for 60 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Corky. Ladies just want to be able to wear jeans. My take, seriously. Corky. They want more than that. They want education. They want economic opportunity. They want to be respected. They don't want to be beaten by their husbands. Just a few things like that.
All right, who's next?
So, Wahed Rex says Trump is also deporting people to African countries.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I forget which country said
like
that they'll...
Malawi or something like that.
I don't know if it's Malawi. I don't think it's Malawi, but I
was
can't...
just thinking of probably the poorest, worst places in Africa to put somebody.
And I can't remember, but definitely.
Yeah, Liberia maybe.
Garden Girl says, all right, there we go. U.S. officials report that aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and some warships from its strike group were on their way to the Middle East from the South China Sea, a roughly week-long trip. So there you go, like you said, a week.
Yeah, who knows who we might take over before the week runs,
No, a lot can happen in a week,
yeah.
Especially in the Trump world. I do have a question about Trump, but I'll save that for later. Well, Rezvedka asks an important question. If they're leaving the South China Sea, then what is left in the Pacific? It's a good question. I would assume that there are others. Garden Girl. The Iran moves by Trump may be connected to Russia and China encroachment. Okay.
Meaning Russia and China encroaching into Iran? I'm not quite sure I get the context of that.
Well, the way I take that is that, and I'll put it back, China and Russia are encroaching in the Western Hemisphere.
Right, in Venezuela, right?
So Trump is looking to retaliate with presence in the non-Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
That's how I take it.
Could be. And that would make sense.
If I've got that wrong, Garden Girl, let me know.
Yeah, it seems it's just another example of, Trump says he's going to concentrate on the Western Hemisphere. right? We're going to pull all of our people out of the Western Hemisphere. And the next thing you know, he's threatening, a massive war against Iran. You never know what he's going to say.
Well, Iran has been in his sights for a while. I mean, we already
Yeah.
have attacked Iran once.
Right. So why does he first say, "Oh, we're concentrating on the Western Hemisphere," and then now he's got to turn around and say, "Well, no, we're not."
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that, because that document didn't say exclusively on the Western Hemisphere. In that document, the strategic document that we talked about, was it last week, does address the Asia and Africa and Europe. And it does say, this doesn't mean it's exclusive. It just means that's our priority. But, we reserve the right to protect our interests everywhere around the globe.
We did a show together on the Don Rowe Doctrine
That's right.
last week, in which Marcia was kind enough to read a lot of the pertinent language in the new national security strategy that I think everybody should be aware of. So go back and check that one out. It's in the archives on all my channels. It's I think it's McDuff. No,
it was a minefield, wasn't it?
Minefield's like 296 or 7. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Marcia did a great job reading it, and the show we developed it. This has not been done in mainstream media at all. This is the kind of analysis that people need to understand, that these actions are consistent with the new strategy. If you just knew the new strategy, it would make sense.
Right, exactly. Razvedka says, we fracked the heck out of Texas, and we need that Venezuelan oil.
I don't know. It's interesting, you see Mike Benz a year ago walking down someplace in Texas saying, we've got all the oil in the world. We got the biggest oil deposits in the world. And then you hear, oh, it's the wrong kind of oil. We can't use that kind of oil on our machines right now. And then the same question comes up with the oil from Venezuela. Is it the wrong kind to use in our refineries? Oh,
what is that? Is that your phone?
I have no idea, so I'm just going to let it ring, and they'll have to hang up.
Why would your phone ring here?
Yeah, they quit.
Whew.
I have no idea. I'll have to figure that one out.
You know what? It's these Apple updates that happen.
Oh.
And then when the Apple updates happen, they change settings.
So I'm getting my phone
on your computer
on
now.
my computer now.
You have to go in and change some setting to turn the phone, to disconnect the phone from the computer, or vice versa, or something. Anyway, that was loud. Sorry, guys.
Sorry about that. Anyway, where were we?
Texas, Venezuelan oil.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I just don't know about this. Trump says we got all this oil, and then he turns around and we need Venezuela's oil. Or is it something else? Is it stuff in the mountains? The lithium or something like that.
There's other resources.
Yeah.
Though I never heard Trump say we need the oil.
They said they're going to give us 50 billion barrels.
Right.
Of
he
oil.
said it's our oil and we're going to take it, but he didn't say because we need it.
Yeah.
He's saying because we're going to make money off of it.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Yeah. But if you needed it, wouldn't you say, I'm not getting it because I need it. I just needed, I'm just decided to go into a new venture making money off of oil.
Well, we need money.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let me just ask the question that I wanted to ask earlier. Totally different topic. And that has to do with the Nobel Peace Prize. Mm-hmm. Because yesterday, apparently, Machado, everybody is saying, all the headlines are saying that Machado gave Trump her Nobel Peace Prize. But what she gave was a really nicely framed thing that included the Nobel Peace Prize medal. But I'm going to assume here there was no reference to it in anything, and I even Googled it and couldn't find it. I'm going to assume here that she did not give him the $1 million that comes with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's just weird that nobody is addressing that. The prize has 1.17, I think, is the current value, the current exchange rate.
Yeah.
Is what the Peace Prize winner gets. And everybody's going, oh, well, she gave him her Nobel Peace Prize. Did she give him the $1 million? I don't think so. But why aren't we addressing that?
Because Greenland.
What about Greenland?
It just takes up all the space,
in our heads. Okay.
Yeah, it takes up all this. How that the media has scientifically figured out how many stories we can handle in one day, how much time to devote to each one of them, and how to keep us from looking at stories they don't want us to look at. And they're very good at it. So,
well, my news sources actually have been talking a lot about Minnesota. Yours haven't, but mine have, because it's the Insurrection Act that Trump invoked, that he said, and that's from, I think, 1807.
Yeah.
Where the Insurrection Act, where you can use our military to quell insurrections, domestic insurrections here at home. And he's going to send the military to Minnesota to deal with those protesters, those pesky protesters.
Insurrectionists, you mean?
Insurrectionists, yes. Yes.
Well, that's, the Congress gave him this power when they passed the War Powers Resolution. And, now he gets to define what is an emergency and what's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that that's consistent with the Insurrection Act. The War Powers is overseas, is outside of our borders and sending more away from the country. The Insurrection Act has to do with sending military to locations inside the country.
Right. Good point.
Okay.
I was wrong.
Wellhead Rex says 32 SF Cuban soldiers. I don't know what SF is.
Special Forces.
Special Forces, Cuban soldiers killed in Venezuela by Delta. Yep.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. It's frightening when you see reports of the things that allegedly happened, such as the imposition of some type of cyber warfare where their radars wouldn't work, their communications wouldn't work, and they were getting some type of a EMF or something, waves that were causing them to get, pain in the head. And, that kind of warfare, using that, in actual real time. And I know they have these capabilities, but to do that, and then they talk about how the Americans were just so incredibly efficient at shooting them, that they were shooting like 300 rounds a minute and just mowing down. And I think there's a lot more than 32 that were killed, but we heard about the 32 because they were like the Palace Guard.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think 800 was also a number I've seen. So the idea that this was pulled off by using this really horrific warfare techniques, especially, attacking your brain with some type of waves or radar stuff, lasers maybe. That hasn't been publicized much, but if that's what they're doing, then it is frightening as hell. And
to me, that's as bad as biological warfare.
Yeah, it is. And it should frighten people that, they're not doing that in Minnesota today, but they could be doing it anywhere in the United States once they cross that line of it's a national emergency.
Right.
And I think the Patriot Act comes to mind. This probably covers them doing it here. Yeah.
Wellhead Rex, Russia, China are supporting Iran. Cargo planes from Russia landed a few days before the protests. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not against revolutions. I just want them to be genuine grassroots revolutions and not things that are stirred up by uh, special forces or spooks or,
People sent in to make it happen.
agents provocateur,
Right.
which I think is, that and false flags, where they go in, you know, we were mentioning people getting shot earlier, and the Maiden Square uh, issue in Ukraine is where uh, the revolution happened in an environment where there were snipers that were just shooting both the good guys and the bad guys just to shoot people to make everybody uh, rise up. And anyway, the manipulation of honest people is so profound right now that you can't really tell where there's any good guys at all in power at this point.
Yeah. Garden Girl says the African countries participating in U.S. deportation programs are getting deals over tariffs, U.S. aid consideration. Art of the deal. Yep, well said. Yeah.
That's the thing, he's a deal maker or
That is one of his great strengths.
Yeah.
And he's very, very clever. I am very curious because I feel bad that I don't remember who is taking deportees from U.S. The U.S. has made deportation agreements with several African nations. Now, this, of course, is the AI overview from Google, including Ghana, Rwanda, Eswatini, which is the former Swaziland, South Sudan, and Uganda, to accept deportees, often non-citizens, as part of immigration crackdowns, though Nigeria has refused such deals, with countries often seeking aid or favorable terms in return for hosting migrants. These agreements, particularly under the Trump administration, involve sending migrants to countries where they have no ties, raising significant human rights and legal concerns. So there you go. Those are the countries, Ghana, Rwanda, Eswatini, South Sudan, and Uganda, that have done deals with us.
I wonder what, if any, planning is done for what happens to these people once they get off the plane.
I think that our position is it's not our problem.
Right.
And that's just tragic.
Yeah. You ask what I was thinking when I said it's confusing times as well as everything else at the top of the show. And what I was thinking of was, how a lot of people have continuing faith in the MAGA movement and President Trump. A lot of people I consider to be friends are pretty angry at anybody that thinks that he's doing something wrong in snatching Maduro and invading a sovereign country. And it's a very touchy subject that I think indicates that we're afraid that Trump might not actually be that person that's going to make America great again after all, but that he, our idol has feet of clay, and that fear that, this hope that we put into him is going to crumble. And so we don't want to think that maybe he is violating international law or anything else like that, because we also have a sense that this has to be done. It's like we've got to stop this narco terrorism, and people that don't believe in it are just don't know, because there really is this horrible narco terrorism going on and they believe it. But when when I see the difference between uh, what most media, and like Scott Ritter, for instance, I think on the left side would say is really bad news. We have a really interesting and growing new podcast channel, been there for more than a year now, called Promethean Action,
Mm-hmm.
with Susan Kokinda and Barbara Boyd, and their show is really well produced. They write their material in advance, and they're good. They're really good writers, and really pro Trump, pro MAGA, and don't have any problem with what he's doing in terms of international law or any of that. That what he's doing is pulling the empire out of the Western Hemisphere. He by attacking their source of funding, i.e., the drugs, by attacking the banking system. They anticipate, the Cayman Islands and all the tax-free money laundering places. And other things that he's doing around the world are all part of a big plan, which in fact will result in making America great again. And I would like to believe that. I would like to say, yeah, you guys are real smart. You've been studying this for 50 years. And, they came up in the LaRouche movement and broke away, mainly because of their profound support for President Trump's election, as opposed to the rest of the LaRouche group not being so sure about wanting to support Trump or anyone else in the presidential election. But the idea that they have been pro-Trump for a long time, and this group, they call themselves now Promethean Action. So that's what's confusing to me, is that I see people that I respect, that are just pounding sand, saying, "God, how could Trump do this? He's violating the sovereignty. He's violating all kinds of principles and international law." And on the other hand, we have Promethean Action saying, "Hey, pay attention. This is what he said he was going to do. He's doing it, and just keep the faith." So I find it confusing.
Wow, that's so well put, because now I'm confused too. And so you did a good job explaining the confusion, because I can't agree with you more. You see different voices saying different things. And for so long, we've struggled with, who do we believe? And it just gets more and more complex and tangled and layered and chaotic. Absolutely chaotic.
Well, here's something cheerful. We had Flying Tigers toys made by Buddy L commercials all the time. I don't think I had a Flying Tiger toy, but I did have a lot of those plastic airplanes from Revell and others that you painted them and put the stickers on. You had the little USAF stars and the numbers and things. I mean, that was when I was a kid. We had model airplanes and model race cars that came in plastic kits, and we'd paint them up. I mean, Flying Tigers toys sounds like fun, and that's kind of what Khashoggi 1 was an old Flying Tiger plane, used as a toy, brought down to National Harbor, with hopes of renewed energy, dashed when Trump won. So that was fun to remember Khashoggi 1, and to remember those plastic toys and the Flying Tigers and all of the stories, Claire Chenault, and it's all important history. It's all very important. And I'm just going to keep studying it, and I'm going to keep sharing what I think. I find it's something that I think when I need to share, I'm going to make a Mindfield show out of it. somebody I want to understand better. I'm going to try my best to get an interview. And when I'm really confused, then I'm going to get together with Marcia and she'll help me sort it out.
I wish I could. I can't always. But you know what? We have a group of really engaged and smart friends who are here with us who will together, we'll all sort it out.
Thank you so much, everybody. We will be back Monday with a new edition of Undo the Coup.